Welcome back to Prague! In this episode, we'll explore the Prague Castle and surrounding area. As you will see on this tour, the castle complex is massive and there's a lot to see. In fact, it's the largest ancient castle in the world, attracting some 1.8 million visitors annually. I spent a half a day at the castle, but you could easily spend a whole day there. The castle was built in the 9th century and it's the official office of the President of the Czech Republic. In the past, it was the seat of power of kings of Bohemia, Holy Roman Emperors, and presidents of Czechoslovakia. Before we kick things off, I want to briefly mention the hotel I stayed at, the Charles Bridge Palace. It's in an excellent location near the Charles Bridge and very affordable, so I can certainly recommend it for your visit to Prague. I'll leave a link in the description below. And with that, let's go ahead and start the tour. In the last two episodes, we covered the area's Old and New Town, as well as the Jewish quarter located east of the Vltava River. In this episode, we are starting the tour at the Rudolfinum and then cross over the Manes Bridge to the Mala Strana neighborhood. We'll walk through the Wallenstein Palace and Garden before making our way up to the Prague Castle. Afterwards, we walk down the old castle stairs back to the Mala Strana neighborhood, where I show you a really cool and unique street. Here we are at the Rudolfinum, a neo-Renaissance style building which opened in 1885 and has been associated with music and art ever since. It's been the home of the Czech Philharmonic Orchestra since 1946, and since 1994 it also houses an art gallery that mainly focuses on contemporary art. The Dvorak Hall inside the building is one of the oldest concert halls in Europe. Named after famed Czech composer of the 19th century, Antonín Dvořák, who actually conducted the Czech Philharmonic in the hall in its first ever concert on January 4th, 1896. Now let's cross the Manes Bridge to get to the other side of the Vltava River. In the distance you see the medieval Charles Bridge, which is part of my Old and New Town walking tour of Prague. Definitely check out that tour if you haven't done so yet. It's a great first walking tour to familiarize yourself with Prague and see several iconic sites. The Manes Bridge is a road and tramway bridge connecting the Jewish quarter with the historic Mala Strana neighborhood on the other side of the river. The bridge is named after Czech painter Josef Manes and was first opened in 1914, but actually not fully completed until 1916. After crossing the bridge, just a short walk further takes us to the Wallenstein Palace and Garden, which was built to rival the Prague Castle. This Baroque garden is geometrically designed and was created at the same time the Wallenstein Palace Complex was built between 1623 and 1629 by Albrecht von Wallenstein, an imperial army general of Emperor Ferdinand II. However, Wallenstein only lived in the palace for about a year before he was assassinated by Ferdinand II, as he feared Albrecht's calculating mind. His widow sold the palace to his nephew and it remained in the family until 1945. After the Second World War, the palace became state property and today the main palace building is home to the Senate of the Czech Republic. This right here is the Sala Terena, a massive Baroque pavilion which is certainly one of the main sites within the complex. It's decorated with stuccos and frescoes depicting the gods of ancient Greece. The paintings are surrounded by carvings depicting ancient deities who became involved in the Trojan War, one of the most important events in Greek mythology. The pavilion is regularly used for theater plays and concerts. Next to the Sala Terena, we see this artificial stalactite cave made of lime stucco stalactites, and on the right you see an aviary designed to keep exotic birds. Alright, we are continuing our walk towards the Prague Castle. We pass this medieval tavern U Krale Brabantského, one of the oldest pubs in Prague that opened in the year 1375. Besides kings and smugglers, it is said that even Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart drank here. As we move on, we get to the Zameke Schody, the castle stairs which were constructed in the mid-17th century in the place of an old and steep wagon road. These stairs take us up to the Hradcany Square in the immediate vicinity of the Prague Castle Complex. Definitely take some time here to enjoy this nice view of Prague. At the square, you'll see the first of 4 courtyards and the Matthias Gate, the ceremonial entrance gate to the Prague Castle from the west. It was completed in 1614 during the reign of Emperor Matthias I. The gate is considered to be the oldest secular Baroque architecture in Prague. After you enter the Matthias Gate and first courtyard, you get to the second courtyard. In the Middle Ages, this area was first part of the forecourt and later crossed by moats. In the Renaissance, a courtyard with a western and northern castle gate was created, surrounded by representative residential and gallery spaces. As we continue, we get to the third and largest courtyard of the Prague Castle. The dominant feature of the courtyard is the St. Vitus Cathedral, the largest and most important Czech Roman Catholic church. Before I talk more about the cathedral and go inside, please note that at this courtyard you'll find the information center where you can get admission tickets to go inside the buildings, audio guides, and also have the option to tour the castle with a guide. The St. Vitus Cathedral is one of the most prominent examples of Gothic architecture in the country and serves as the seat of the Archbishop of Prague. Construction of the cathedral began in the mid-14th century, but it was not completed until the early 20th century. The cathedral features a variety of architectural styles, including Gothic, Baroque, and Renaissance, reflecting the long period of its construction. The interior of the cathedral is particularly notable for its stained glass windows. The cathedral also houses a number of important relics and works of art. Here we see the tomb of Saint John of Nepomuk, who was a 14th century Bohemian martyr and saint who is considered the patron saint of the Czech Republic. Somewhere in the cathedral, locked away in a chamber, are the Bohemian crown jewels. The door, and likewise the iron safe, has 7 locks and there are 7 holders of the keys. The President of the Republic, the Prime Minister, the Prague Archbishop, the Chairman of the House of Deputies, the Chairman of the Senate, the Dean of the Metropolitan Chapter of St. Vitus Cathedral, and the Lord Mayor of Prague, who must all convene to facilitate the opening of the impenetrable door and treasure chest. It's very rare that the crown jewels are displayed, usually once every 5 years, and the President of the Czech Republic has the exclusive right to decide if and when the jewels are displayed. St. Vitus Cathedral is certainly one of the most important landmarks of Prague, attracting millions of visitors each year, and I highly recommend you include this on your visit to Prague. From the cathedral, we continue east within the castle complex and get to the St. George's Basilica, which was founded in the 10th century and is one of the oldest surviving churches in the city. The basilica has undergone several renovations over the centuries, including a Gothic reconstruction in the 14th century and a Baroque renovation in the 17th century. It is known for its unique architecture, including its cross-shaped ground plan and the large Gothic vault that covers the nave. The basilica houses a number of important works of art, including a Baroque altar by Jan Jiří Bendel and several Gothic sculptures. It also serves as the final resting place of many members of the royal family, including King Vladislaus II and Saint Ludmila. St. George's Basilica is considered an important cultural and historical monument in the city. Behind the basilica, we just walk a few steps further and get to the so-called Golden Lane, a historic street located within the castle complex. It is named for the goldsmiths who once lived there in the 16th century. The houses on the Golden Lane are known for their small size, as you can tell with me standing next to that door. Many of the houses were originally built as living quarters for the castle's servants and guards. In the early 20th century, the houses were occupied by artists and writers, including Franz Kafka. Today, the Golden Lane is a popular tourist attraction with many of the houses converted into museums and shops. You can explore the tiny houses and see exhibits on the daily life of the people who once lived there, as well as lots of armor and weapons from back in the day. The Golden Lane is known for its charming atmosphere and unique architecture and is considered one of the must-see attractions in the Prague Castle Complex. After walking along the Golden Lane, we get to the Daliborka, a historic tower which was built in the late 15th century and served as a prison for political and criminal prisoners. The tower is named after its most famous prisoner, Dalibor of Kosoyedi, a knight who was imprisoned there in the 15th century for rebelling against the ruling nobility. According to legend, Dalibor played music on his violin to pass the time during his imprisonment. The tower houses a museum with exhibits on the history of the tower and its use as a prison. All the way on the eastern end of the castle complex is the St. Venceslas Vineyard. It is one of the oldest and largest vineyards in the city, dating back to the 10th century. The vineyard covers an area of approximately 3 hectares and produces a variety of wines, including Riesling, Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay. You get some great scenic views from up here, and it's certainly a great spot to relax after touring the castle, enjoying a wine or beer. Alright, now we are walking along the old castle stairs, a historic stairway built in the 16th century which gets us back to the Mala Strana district of the city. I do recommend you walk around the Mala Strana neighborhood near the Charles Bridge during your visit, and one place you should definitely see is the narrowest street in Prague. It's so narrow that there is even a walking signal to make sure people only enter from one side at a time. It is only 50 centimeters or roughly 20 inches wide at its narrowest point, with a height of just over 2 meters or 6.7 feet. The street was originally built as an alleyway between 2 houses in the 16th century and served as a shortcut for pedestrians. Today you'll find a waterfront restaurant at the bottom of the street. Comment down below if you have any questions about visiting Prague. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the Prague Castle and surrounding area, and would appreciate it if you hit that like button, share the video with your friends and family, and subscribe to my channel. Next, watch my walking tour of Old and New Town Prague. And with that, I say thank you, děkuji, and Dankeschön!